My wife cheated while pregnant, but now she's telling everyone I'm the cheater.
That's not how that works.
Trigger warning, mentions of abuse. My wife is a pretty terrible person. I'll explain in a second, and you can yell at me if you think I'm being unfair by calling her that. And I probably shouldn't have married her or even dated her in the first place. She has 2 awesome kids with another man, and I began being in their lives when they were 1 and 4. By the way, this comes from Good Competition 5741, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. I'm Sophia.
I'm Carly.
And we're here to give good advice goofily, but we don't have all the answers. We only know what we'd do, so let us know what you would do in the comments. I knew their mom back in high school and had a brief, strictly physical relationship with her. Strictly physical, no emotion. Then we went dark with each other until reconnecting like 12 years later. She was fun and we had the same humor. She was everything I wanted in a mate, and I loved hanging out with her and her kids. But then she kept randomly going back to their father, who is terribly harmful. I tell you all this so you know why I stayed as long as I did. I was able to provide for her kids and her and prevent her from taking them back into a horrible household. Fast forward 4 years, we had a child together. We did Christmas, her and I, her 2 kids, our new baby girl. I thanked God that I had everything I'd ever need in my life and things were good. I'd later find out that 6 months later, she began sleeping with her ex. I'd even find out that she'd been sleeping with him while she was pregnant with our daughter. The thought makes me physically ill and torments me every day. I want to leave her, but there were these little children, and I would rather have gone through the worst torture imaginable than see them go live with the ex, especially my daughter, who is my world, but the other kids as well, as I love them very much too. We went to a marriage counselor, but she would often storm out when things fell on her, and she'd have to take responsibility. Things got somewhat calmer, but she never seemed to want to treat me with much love or respect, even as I worked my butt off to make sure we all had everything we needed, plus trips, etc. She didn't work at all. So much is being left out, but I doubt anyone will even read this. It's so long. Anyway, fast forward to November 2024. She had almost never been a participant in our marriage, no matter what I did. I'd given up on all the stuff I did for so many years to show her how much I loved her, and focused on just being the best dad and stepdad I could be. Without my being a good husband, there was nobody participating in the marriage anymore, so it turned into more of a roommate situation where I still paid for everything. It should be mentioned that I constantly begged her to do fun stuff with me like we used to. I told her that all our relationship needed was for us to actually try. So one night, it was my friend's father's birthday. This family is my second family, and I went to the birthday party. It got late, like midnight, and she texts me to tell me that since I could spend the night out places, she's going to as well. She tells me that next weekend she's going to go out with a friend. I said, why not go out with your husband if you're finally willing to do something? That would be great. She was going to meet a guy she worked with, someone I'm pretty sure she'd already been sleeping with. This is a terrible, terrible situation.
I don't like this story.
This is dreadful. IOP. Is there any way that we can have some custody of these kids?
Right, and wouldn't there possibly be a way, obviously, yeah, we're worried about all the kids, but
Yeah.
he's and specifically, my daughter's never going to that ex's house.
Well, you can
say that in the custody agreement?
You could say he's incredibly abusive if you have any,
Yeah.
whatever proof you have of this, start gathering that proof.
Right,
You
because the
know?
other kids are his. The
One
exes.
kid is his. The other kids are the exes.
The exes, yeah, that's what I meant. Because, I don't know that you can necessarily control that situation, unfortunately.
Probably not.
But for your own kid, yeah, you 100% can do something about that.
I got mad at how stupid this all was, and we both agreed we should get a divorce and be done with all of this. I was the first to take off my ring because of how angry all this made me. The whole marriage, I dreamed of a day she would actually care and try, that all the suffering would be worth it, and we could all be a happy family. We all deserved that. This was never going to happen, unfortunately. She started openly dating the guy. She would go over to his house every Friday night and come back with spicy kiss marks all over her neck like she's 17. She's 37. A couple months into this, I decided I needed to go out with someone for my own good. But who? I went on a 50 Shades Club site I had previously made an account on for other purposes. Long story.
Other purposes? What are the other purposes
What are
of
the
that?
other purposes? It does. 50 Shades Club might be a change because it's in brackets. So I wonder what the original thing was. and talked to a girl who I eventually met up with. She did not look like she did in her pics, and I was not attracted. Classic. They never do. But I had lunch with her and decided I needed to at least give it a shot. We met up a second time and drove around and then got baked. Outside the car smoking, she tried to get me to have spicy sleep with her. I felt really awkward about it, but gave it the college try and couldn't do it. Literally couldn't physically or mentally do it. I felt really defeated in every way possible and told this woman that we were just not going to work out in any way. She flipped out. I was using her for spicy sleep, even though we never even had spicy sleep, and met on a site about spicy sleep. We spent less than 4 hours together total ever, but she went on a Facebook group for women who think their boyfriend is dating someone else and put my picture and info up. That's insane.
Oh, that's that Facebook group. Are we dating the same guy? Probably.
That's crazy. Oh my goodness. I felt very violated, but whatever. A friend of my wife saw this and didn't know we were no longer together. She informed my ex, who then got completely unfairly angry. She had zero right to care or even know. She started saying she was going to make stuff up so she could leave with the kids and move to the other side of the country. I'm flipping out. That's my family, my child. Anyway, last part, I promise, if you are reading this. Things calmed down and we realized we needed each other just to make it in this terrible economy. No! No! OP!
Maybe they mean like divorced, but like
okay,
co-living?
Well, seems so. We filed for divorce, but decided to cohabitate for the sake of the kids. She admitted to being the worst possible wife, though she still claims she married me because she loved me, and not just to use me for the money and stability for the kids. But it was she who left this marriage, if she was ever a part of it, not me. And yet now I just found out that she's been telling her family we're divorcing because she found out I was cheating on her with a woman from this website I was using. Can you believe it? She cheated on me more times than I can count with an ex and a janitor from her work, and she's pretending to her family who likes me and recognizes the stability I brought to her and the kids' lives, and to look justified since she cannot explain any real reason other than lust and immaturity why she would leave me. She's trying to lie to everyone about me, so am I the a-hole if I tell everyone the truth? I have 13 years of texts outlining how absolutely terrible she is. I seriously have had to go through a ton of counseling. She's a terrible, horrible, deranged person, and the story right now is that I cheated on her and broke up our marriage. Honestly, no.
Yeah, tell them.
Yeah, tell them. Because at this point, it's not even just like petty revenge. This is your family is at risk.
Too.
Your reputation's at risk. Yeah.
I like, too, that he's like, can you believe she would do? Yeah, I unfortunately really can.
Yeah.
Which isn't great,
sucks.
but.
Yeah, but I think this is no longer just like petty. This is the custody of my child is at stake, because they could convince her to take your kids away. She could convince a court if she's got like a bunch of people on her side. There are many things at risk here if you don't tell them the truth.
And I don't think it's wrong even just for the sake of relationships with that part of the family.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
Like you would lose support from them if they think this is true. Note, please know she can also be the funniest, most awesome, caring person. Dude, you don't have to.
We don't need the backtrack.
Yeah.
You opened this with
you said she's the worst person ever. We don't need to go back. I just haven't seen that version of her in years now, and honestly, very little ever, but enough for me to fall in love with it. She was diagnosed with BPD when she was younger, and then supposedly a second doctor said no. He's like, nah, you're good.
That's rough then, because if that is unmedicated BPD that needs to be medicated, that could honestly be the cause of a lot of this.
Absolutely. My heart breaks for her and the kids, knowing how easily everything could be for us all. But therapy has shown me that is not a realistic thing to ever expect to happen. And comment 1 says, you're both in need of a lot of therapy, my friend. OP says, I've been in therapy since we both did counseling together. She was seeing a therapist for a bit, and it was helping a ton, but then she had to switch to remote when the vid happened, and just stopped completely, and things got terrible after that. My cortisol levels from stress have been so bad, I've been having heart issues caused by it. Comment 2 says, not the a-hole, tell the family if necessary, but you really only need to worry about the kids. Document her cheating or these agreements you two have been having for the courts. OP says her cheating is documented through her family court cases with her ex that she cheated on me with. Can you believe I sat in a courtroom holding her hand and then listening to him tell everyone in court about his affair with my wife and how long it spanned and how it wasn't just spicy sleep, but a relationship. how they would meet as I worked my butt off to make sure she didn't have to work, when she pretended to be staying at her mother's and would leave the kids there with her and meet up with him, etc. So many, okay, now she has no choice but to snap out of this and realize how much better life is for everyone when she is the version of herself that rocks and just gives even just a little to her marriage and the family dynamic. Things are finally going to be better and make this all worth it. Moments. So many. And that's the end of that story. OP, please prioritize yourself.
Yeah.
Please.
And your kids.
Yeah.
My wife is obsessed with her coworker. I think she's cheating on me.
Stop it.
Things have been pretty rocky between my wife, 27 female, and I, 28 male, for several months. We had a rough 2020, but I thought it was due to job stress, the vid, and then she lost her job while mine got worse. Then she started a new job and we drifted apart. Early this year, I expressed my sadness that we are so distant and haven't connected in a long time. We haven't been physically intimate either. By the way, this comes from Cheesecake OK 9239. And if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. I'm Carly.
I'm Sophia.
And we're here to give good advice goofily, but we don't have all the answers. We only know what we'd do, so let us know what you would do in the comments. In early April, I started individual therapy and have been trying to share my thoughts with my wife and be vulnerable and honest. She told me she feels smothered and needs space, which I've tried to give her. Through all of this, she's indicated that she wants to work on improving things. So I've had hope that if I keep trying, things will move forward to a better place. It hasn't. Giving space, being supportive, not being controlling, she still seems far away. I brought this up and said I don't think there's a way to improve without spending time together addressing it. She said she had been trying and putting in effort for the past year and felt like I wasn't doing anything, and now she's burnt out. I apologized and said I'm ready and willing to fix things now, but I need her help too. She didn't have much to say to that. Because of the distance between us, I've noticed how close she's gotten with a coworker. A single guy about my age. They see each other every day, go to lunch almost daily. My wife frequently stays late at work, and I'm pretty sure he's always there too. They go out for drinks and have attended soccer games together, just the two of them.
Soccer games alone?
Not the soccer games.
Well, what, like
unsupervised soccer games.
Which soccer games? Is it like a child soccer game? Is it there? Do they have a child?
I know they've gone to his place till after midnight.
Yeah, they cheat.
This makes me uneasy and hurt. My wife doesn't do any of this with me. It seems like a chore for her to spend time with me, but she willingly and gleefully adores being around this guy. We'll call him Mark. This has been happening since early March. I didn't bring anything up because she mentioned she didn't want to make me sad by hanging out with Mark. Things were rocky between us, and I wasn't confident enough to assert myself. I didn't want to be the jealous boyfriend type. As things deteriorated and I observed her spending most of her time with him, it's been hurting more. I told her last week they're making me uncomfortable. She asked, well, what do you want me to do about it? I felt like she should decide what to do with that information. She never suggested anything, just said I can put my mind at ease. And it tapered off into her accusing me of not trusting her. I told her I trust her not to do anything physical, but don't trust Mark because I don't know him. After I said I was uncomfortable, I didn't want to tell her what to do or make her feel controlled, but she didn't propose anything to resolve it. The next few days, she was home more often and didn't go out for the usual drinks with coworkers. I could tell she was sad, and I ended up telling her I want her to be happy and do what makes her happy. I've spoken with my therapist about this. I told my therapist she and Mark see each other all the time. She actively chooses to spend more time with Mark than me. She constantly texts him. I've seen her texting him long threads when I'm lucky if she sends me 3 texts during the day. She's gone out drinking with him and went to his place, not getting home until 2 a.m. Last weekend, she had Mark dog sit while I was out of town and didn't tell me until after. She seems happier when she comes back from hanging out with him. That reminds me of how she was when we were first dating, and that crushes me. From my perspective, I feel like lines have been crossed that shouldn't be in a marriage. It hurt when I told my wife her closeness with him makes me uncomfortable, and she immediately said, well, we are just friends, so you can put your mind at ease. Then immediately shifted to, well, what do you want me to do about it? He's one of the few things that have brought me happiness and support lately, which crushed me.
Yeah, emotional cheating for sure.
This past Saturday, she went to a coworker's wedding. Mark was there. They got wasted, and a DD brought her home at 1 a.m., absolutely wasted. While I was helping her get into bed, she kept repeating, how's Mark? Is Mark okay? Did Mark get home? I said, I'm sure he's fine. Then she said, I know his number, and started saying my number. That hurt. She kept asking about him until she fell asleep. Now, a couple of days out, I feel even more like she's lost feeling for me and is more emotionally invested in him than she's willing to admit. I want to have an honest conversation, but am nervous it'll come out as accusatory and make her defensive. How can I broach this subject? How can I get answers about the dynamic between her and Mark without being accusatory? Is she emotionally cheating? My therapist said I should have this conversation and know my boundaries for what is and isn't okay. I've confided in close friends and my sister, and every single one thought it was messed up. That makes me feel validated, but I don't know the best way to initiate this conversation. We have an update. She could tell something was up and kept asking what was bothering me. I finally talked to her. I mentioned my concerns and said what's been happening isn't okay and feels like boundaries are being crossed. She seemed unfazed and offended I'd think something inappropriate was going on. She denied being physical. She said, I've only been out till 2 a.m. with him twice. That's too many times for me. She refused to see it from my point of view or an outside perspective. My wife refuses to believe she's crossing lines. She wouldn't acknowledge that maybe what she's doing is wrong or hurtful. He's like my best friend right now. Yeah, well, why can't I be that? I'm your husband. I'm trying to work on things, and I feel like there's stuff you're not telling me. She kept saying, what do you want me to do? She kept pointing out they haven't been together too much or stayed out late more than twice. Her first reaction, rather than being sorry I'm hurt, was to say, well, what do you want me to do about it? She kept deflecting. The amount of times doesn't matter. What matters is that now she knows it's hurting me and I'm not going to put up with it anymore. I told her I want to be happy and be with someone who makes me happy. She told me she loves me and wants to be with me. It felt hollow. I told her she seems completely emotionally invested in him and there's no more room for me. I feel like a roommate who sits around while she dates Mark. She kept saying, we're just friends, and I'm not even with him all that much. She denied physical intimacy. She said other coworkers have asked if anything is going on between her and Mark. I asked what "is anything going on" means to her. She couldn't spell it out. I told her I find it hard to believe Mark, a single guy my age, has anything to gain from being just friends with a married woman. No matter how good a guy she thinks he is, he's had the thought cross his mind. She denied they talk about their feelings for each other. I don't believe it. If he knows about our marriage issues, it's suspicious he continues to hang around. He's waiting for the off chance we break up. I can't shake the feeling she's lying to me. I feel gaslit. I told her I sat on my true feelings for so long because I was being too considerate of her feelings and neglecting my own. I told her we need to tell each other the hard stuff and be open and honest and vulnerable. I'm not going to talk to her about this again. There's no point. She seems unwilling to accept she's in the wrong. We have another update.
I mean, like, again, I think this is over.
Yeah.
I think your relationship is over. It sucks. If you've been to therapy, she refuses to admit she's wrong. You are hurting. She's clearly not happy in this marriage. That's it. That's it.
Yeah.
There's not much else you can do. I think you just have to, like, unfortunately, you've set a boundary. She's crossed it.
I told her I know about her and Mark. I said I don't want to do this anymore and want her to be happy, but if that includes being with Mark, I don't want to continue together. We should go our separate ways. I don't want to be in a marriage with a woman who isn't in love with me. She cried and confessed that she and Mark have feelings for each other.
Wow, everyone's shocked. Everyone's so shocked.
But insists nothing physical happened. I told her regardless, I don't feel we can continue and we should separate. I threw out the D word several times and she got upset, saying I'd already made up my mind without her and wasn't discussing it. I told her she had made up her mind to pursue those feelings with Mark and did nothing to stop it. She told me I was being mean and not understanding. I said I can understand her losing feelings for me and falling in love with someone else, but I don't have to accept an EA and wasn't going to put up with this. Then she started begging, saying it's a rash decision to divorce and we should try separating first. I said, I know what that will do. You'll just go off with Mark, right? She didn't answer. She maintained she doesn't want to jump straight to divorce. I maintained I see no other option. Even marriage counseling wouldn't work. Because of work obligations, I can't just leave. But I booked a flight to stay with my family this weekend. And by the way, you can always book time to listen to full episodes with stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, search up OK Storytime. I cannot describe the relief I felt when I told her we should proceed to divorce. The other feeling was realizing she's made a choice. She's picking him. By not saying she'll cut things off completely with him, she's made a choice. I don't want to be with someone who won't choose me. An edit. For everyone concerned about the divorce process, our finances are already separated, and we have very little marital property under the law. The biggest dispute will be over our dog. I'm in a no-fault divorce state, and the 60-day separation requirement is already met, as we've been living under the same roof without spicy-related cohabitation for over 60 days. I don't foresee this being too procedurally or financially difficult. Emotionally and mentally, for sure.
Dang, man. Well,
wow.
There you go.
Yeah, good on you for holding that what you were feeling was true and she was crossing those boundaries.
My wife's coworkers got into each other's faces. Now she's considering resigning.
I feel like that's fair.
Trigger warning, physical altercation. Warning, it was a crazy day. My wife, 34 female, has worked at a really small casual business for about 3 years, with only about 12 employees. Since I, 30 female, work from home, I'll often go into her office and work from there. They have extra space and it allows me to get some social interaction and spend more time with my wife. By the way, this comes from Crazies at Work, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. I'm Sophia.
I'm Carly.
And we're here to give good advice goofily, but we don't have all the answers. We only know what we'd do, so let us know what you would do in the comments. I've become pretty good friends with everyone because I've been going in there on and off for 3 years. The story involves one girl, 35-ish female named Jen, and her half-sister Amanda, 30-ish female. My wife and I are pretty good friends with both of them. On Thursday, my wife and I went into her office and brought food and drinks for everyone to enjoy prior to the holiday. This is pretty regular at this workplace. Everyone was working, having a good time, and getting along. People started drinking around 2:30 because things had slowed down. The boss also left around this time to go out of town for the weekend. Jen and another girl were making fun of Amanda a little and trying to pressure her into staying at the office until 5 so they could leave early and go to happy hour. Amanda, being pregnant and having another young child, doesn't always work full-time and obviously doesn't drink. She didn't want to stay, so her older sister started being rude and making comments. I was in the room working, so I heard Jen tell Amanda that she needed the hours because her boyfriend couldn't support her. Amanda said he was supporting her just fine right now. Jen then told her he wouldn't be tomorrow. Amanda got up and walked out, obviously upset and crying. She asked to use my wife's phone and call the boss to say she was quitting. She told the boss her sister was being rude and trying to pressure her to stay. Next thing I knew, Jen ran up to her sister, who was crying and cleaning out her desk, screaming at her that the boss had just texted her to go ahead and leave for today, and that someone else could stay. They started getting into each other's faces and doing the whole, hit me, I wish you would, kind of back and forth threatening. At this point, because no one else was, I got in the middle and told them to calm down, and that this wasn't the place or time for this conversation. Jen screamed at me to stay the F out of it and that this was sister stuff. So I said it still wasn't the place for it. They walked away from each other, but Jen was fuming. I went back to my desk. Someone said something to me and I said, I didn't know why we couldn't just get along, that this wasn't the way to deal with a problem or the place to do stuff like this. Jen heard me and walked in, got in my face, snapped her hand, and sarcastically said, thank you. Then she walked away.
These girls are being so rude. I will say, like, don't walk back into the other room and continue to talk about them. That probably wasn't the best plan with two girls that are really heated right
yeah,
now.
let's not bring anything up. Another girl, Katie, volunteered to take Amanda home to help de-escalate the situation. Amanda grabbed her stuff to leave, but had to walk by Jen's desk, which is sadly by the door. According to someone else, Jen started saying not to take Amanda home and to just make her walk. They started yelling at each other again, pulling up stuff that only sisters know, like, at least my car didn't get repoed. I walked in when they were in each other's face again. I stood there frozen for a second, and suddenly Jen lunged forward. Then they started slugging each other. I ran in and got between them, yelling at them to stop and physically trying to pull them off each other. My wife, who walked in about this time, saw me in the middle and ran to help. She stood with her arms out on each of their shoulders, trying to keep them apart. They were still yelling, so my wife started yelling, "Stop it!" over and over. Jen started yelling at my wife, "F you, shut the F up." I yelled back not to talk to her like that. We stood between them and started yelling at Amanda to just leave right now. Walk out the door. Amanda eventually walked out. I walked out. Amanda was outside in Katie's car about to go home. We walked into the back room in shock. We saw Jen get on the phone and walk into the bathroom. My wife then saw her run out fast. We heard someone yell something like, "My car!" Another girl told us to just stay in the room we were in. A minute later, I had to check and I saw Jen get into her car and drive off. We found out later that Jen had run outside, opened the car door, and they started it again. That was Katie yelling, "They're fighting in my car." She pulled them off each other and took Amanda home. Other people in the office were saying they didn't want this to get back to the boss. It should. These girls should get fired.
100% should.
I don't care if they're
100%
sisters.
should go to the boss.
They said Jen and Amanda had a tough life and basically we shouldn't have gotten involved. That is ridiculous. Come on. You are in a place of work. You are supposed to be professional. I don't care if you're sisters and you've had a tough life. Be professional. Eventually, we got a call from Amanda that she had called the police, and she texted me to ask if Jen was still there because the police were bringing her back. She also called the boss, who contacted my wife and said she was on her way back. The police came and got my name and number since I witnessed it. The cop asked who started it, and I told the truth. Jen started it verbally, but Amanda wouldn't walk away. They were in each other's face, and Jen hit first. After this, the cop left, and Amanda was just there crying. She started telling us things about Jen and her upbringing we didn't know. She said that her mom and Jen had always been so mean to her. How should we handle it? What should my wife say to the boss? Should she still work there if they let them both stay? And there is an update.
Wow.
Say the truth.
Yeah.
Say the truth. I think you just say what you witnessed, that you got in between it to stop it because no one else was willing to help you guys. You got yelled at, and then the police were called.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't
keep it
think
at
there's
that.
any need for any other information except exactly what happened that day.
Yeah, and I don't think that your wife has to leave necessarily unless she is uncomfortable, unless Jen and Amanda both stay and make her uncomfortable.
Yeah. I don't think she has to leave,
Yeah.
but I also could
It's
totally,
just-
like,
yeah.
if she comes to you and she's like, I want to leave.
Yeah, then
sure.
absolutely. Then she's no longer comfortable in this workplace. Update. I'd like to clarify a few things. This behavior isn't a regular occurrence, not at my wife's work, and definitely not in our life. This was the first time we had witnessed anyone acting like this. My wife works at a very casual and creative place. She's a graphic designer. People sometimes bring their pets, children, and SOs to work. They often eat lunch together as a company and make an effort to celebrate and enjoy each other. Sometimes
Okay.
booze is involved, other times it isn't. It is a family-owned business. The owner is a very nice guy and has a tendency to hire people that need second chances at life. Him and his wife also have 6 children of varying nationalities, all adopted. Because of the owner's tendency to give everyone a chance, it has resulted in some bad hires. He'll often hire family of current employees just to help them out. They come from some rough backgrounds and often say things like "F the police" and "snitches get stitches." Jen was actually hired first, and Amanda was hired based on her recommendation. From all accounts, they've both been very nice people at work and great employees up until this point. For clarity, the owner was out on vacation last week, and the manager, April, was there all week and left only a short time before the drama went down. I decided it was best for me to stay out of her work drama for this week and not go in. We didn't hear from anyone over the weekend. The police also haven't contacted me. When she showed up Monday, neither Jen nor Amanda were there. My wife asked April if they'd be coming in, and she said they were not coming in that day, but they were still deciding what to do. Once the owner got in, he asked my wife what she thought about the event, and she told the truth. Amanda did a lot of things wrong and should have walked away, but Jen was definitely the instigator. She also told them she was scared of Jen after seeing her behave that way, and that it would be very hard to work with her. He said, I want to give everyone a second chance. My wife was floored. She said she understood second chances, but when it came to violence, it was a risky second chance to take on behalf of every other employee. He even mentioned Jen coming in on Tuesday. My wife was definitely not happy. He said he wanted to give Amanda the same chance, but that she had quit before this went down and didn't think there was any chance she'd come back. He thought he might have them work on alternate days. I think if he hadn't talked to my wife, he would have had them, or at least Jen, come back immediately. Important to note that the other witnesses besides my wife and myself were Jen's cousin and her lifelong friend. They were clearly more hesitant to say anyone was the instigator or take a stand that either should be fired. My wife was the only one willing to paint an accurate picture of what happened. Everyone seemed willing to get over it, move on, and put on a happy face, except my wife. April seems to really understand the severity, but the owner doesn't. We basically decided that if Jen came back, my wife would start looking for new jobs and leave ASAP. We are genuinely scared for her to work with her, especially with the mentality of the employees and the fact my wife and I intervened. Not to mention, my wife has spoken up and said she doesn't feel either of them should come back, but especially Jen. Today, my wife went in and they weren't there. She immediately talked to April and said, I don't want to be the only one with a problem with her working here. If I am, then maybe I'm the odd one out. April said, you aren't the odd man out. More people feel this way. Not sure who, because no one else is acting like it. My wife said the owner indicated she would be back soon, and April said, no, it will be a while before she can come back. Not really saying if she is or isn't, just that it won't be now. By the way, you should listen to full episodes now with stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or iHeartRadio and search up OK Storytime. The police also stopped by the office today. Apparently, they can't get a hold of Amanda anymore. I know she's okay because she's been posting on Facebook. I think she's just scared to follow through with pressing charges. Snitches get stitches. So what do you guys think? Are we the crazy ones for feeling like Jen should not work there any longer? Should my wife be willing to put on a smile and work with this person? Or should she continue to be vocal about her desire for Jen not to return? Just the fact that they wanted her to come back makes my wife want to quit. But at the same time, they really seem to respect her and her opinion, and only seemed to reconsider when she disagreed.
That one's like, so I think at most you go back to the boss one more time.
Yeah.
You re-express your concerns. You can add into that, I will probably be leaving if
she stays.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then after that, though, I don't think you can, like, if you decide to stay, you can't really keep bringing it up.
No, I agree.